I just uploaded a video tutorial where I captured these images with Halumin using a Sony a7R and a nice lens. The images look beautiful captured with that camera setup, but it's the light that Halumin creates that's where the magic is at, not the camera. And to prove that, I'm going to recreate those images in this video using my iPhone to capture with a Halumin powered by two ProPhoto A10s. Start the clock. All right. See, the Halumin is nicely in its case right here. Gonna pull it out of the case, unfold it, and set it up. Bam! Don't you love that sound? I love that sound. All right, I'm gonna do it up here so you can see it being assembled. This isn't the most comfortable position to set it up in. Normally, I would just have it, the bottom part sitting on the phone or on the floor. But, you know, we're making a video and you are a part of that video. So this is for you. I'm just going around the perimeter and attaching or inserting, I guess, the support legs and the speed light straps. These hold the body of the Halumin open so that whenever those speed lights go off and pump light into the light chamber inside of the Halumin, there is no obstructions. So it makes a nice little tent for your light to live in. And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful story. All right. So, Halumin is unfolded, and that is 1 minute and 44 seconds. And now we are adding the speed lights. I'm trying not to go at a race pace because I want this to be more like a real world scenario. So just the act of me talking is literally slowing me down. I think my brain is just not trained very well to talk and do things at the same time. Because we're using the ProPhoto app and that is connected to our phone, the settings on the speed lights don't really matter because the app will actually control their settings. There are limitations to working with a phone. Your sync speed it tops out at like a 60th of a second, and then it moves to high speed sync, which is it's not really a true high speed sync. Oh, by the way, our speed lights are set up, and that was at like what, 2 minutes and 50 seconds or something like that. So we set the white piece of foam core on the table, and then we add our accessory leg. This is like a little leg that's gonna hold it at a slight angle. And that angle of attack is important to get a little bit of that light above the subject. So now we're actually really set up and ready to go, and that's what, 3 minutes and 20 seconds. I'm going to now unfold the light control ring on the bottom here. And now it's gonna let that light spill onto the background. So at less than 4 minutes, we're actually placing our subject on the table. So, oops, forgot to, at least when I remember to take the filling out of it, we are. So. All right, so this first angle, I'm gonna replicate the shots that we did kind of verbatim. The first angle is the shoe is laying on its side. I just realized that I'm using the opposite shoe to the previous test, but that's okay. I'm starting up the app now. It has me press a couple of buttons, and I'm assuming the settings are correct. That's a terrible assumption to make, but let's see what we're at. Not bad. It's a little dark, and I can brighten it up just a touch. All right, we're gonna try that at 70% power. If you watched the previous video where I was using a DSLR, you will notice the settings are a little bit different. I was shooting at 400th of a second on the previous test, and this one is only a 60th of a second on the phone. The phone's a little different. All of the settings are a little different, but I also have it darker in here than how I was using it the last time. So I don't have to compete with as much light. The other thing with the phone is its aperture is a little bit tighter. So it actually is taking more light to get the same thing, but I was shooting at a high speed sync of 400th of a second. So I've been kind of going through these images real quick. They'll be showing up on your screen as we go. And again, these are the raw shots right off the camera. I'm looking at a screen to try to kind of replicate them, but I might get them, oops, that's weird. Getting some malfunctions with my phone. It's not completely syncing with everything. So even with technical difficulties, we're still moving at a pretty good clip. All right, let's try that. There we go. All right, now these are a little bit brighter than they need to be, so taking down the intensity of the flashes. With the phone photography, my phone, there's 3 lenses on it, and all 3 lenses have different apertures. So if I switch lenses, I've got to switch the settings of the flash. That is something that is different with flash photography than with a constant aperture lens like I usually use on a mirrorless or a DSLR. So that takes a little bit of getting used to, but that one looks pretty good. So we achieved all the looks of it laying on its side. I'm now doing a direct overhead. And again, these are for you to compare apples to apples against what these look like if I'm using a mirrorless or a DSLR with a much bigger, more expensive camera, with a bigger sensor and different optics. Okay, so the next thing that I did was I photographed the tread that I could not remember the name of anything when I did this experiment. I was struggling for the name of every single thing that I was photographing, but I'm going to be capturing the tread in this one. Let's see how this angle is. Again, this is a different, this experiment is interesting because it's a different lens and a different camera system completely. So trying to duplicate the shots quickly, if I was just capturing images, wouldn't be that big of a deal because I'd just go for whatever the next shot was that looked good. All right. There we go. That's not bad at all. So we got that. We're gonna do a tight close-up shot of that tread on the back, and I've got to go at a different angle. something like this. Seems like I need a little bit more light. So I'm bumping up, and somebody is texting me too. So it's this is the downside of working on your actual phone. There we go, that's beautiful. So that should be posting on the video now, and then we're gonna do the toe of the shoe and get that detail, the texture on the toe. I did that by setting the block up on its end and placing the sneaker up there. So now what is happening is it's right at the edge of where the light drops off. And this makes a really interesting lighting effect because it just really scrapes still enough of an angle to get front light, but a lot of the light scrapes the edges of the textures. And that's really cool because it shows you what those textures are in a way that they're really pronounced. And because in a typical lighting situation, you would use a hard focused light that would be coming from one direction or maybe two directions. The problem is that hard lights cast hard shadows. And that's really annoying, especially if you're trying to do something quickly and suddenly you've got, oh, there's a shadow. I got to compensate. I've got to put a reflector or another light. So you do something there and you end up spending a lot of time kind of maneuvering your light around. The other thing that happens is when you've got a big bounce reflector or any type of a big light source like that, your light now spills all over the place. So it goes in all kinds of directions and you don't have the control. You can't really keep it in that right spot without adding additional flags and stuff to block it off where you don't want it. So I'm gonna move it over here a little bit. I think that I may have had the accessory leg mounted higher. This thing also, the phone camera on the long lens that I'm using does not focus quite as close as the other camera I was using. So, and you'll see a greater depth of field on it as well. So we're going in the next phase where we're using both sneakers and no wooden block. So this is exciting. We're moving on to the final phase. The final phase of our photo shoot. We're at 12 minutes and 44 seconds. So what are we gonna do on the final phase? We're gonna start with both shoes, ladies and gentlemen. Both shoes at the same time. That's exciting stuff. This is quite an event, quite the ticket to the event on a Friday night, I do tell you. All right. It's hard to tell if I am slightly overexposed or not. The contrast on the phone is a little hotter, so, and I know I don't have the same dynamic range, so for those of you that don't care about any of that, it just means that phones and big cameras are different, but you can still produce amazing results on a phone. And that's what I'm trying to convey. I'm gonna raise this up a little bit. Actually, you know what? No, I'm just gonna finish the demo. So we've got a toe. Oh, I think I did that differently last time. Let me do this again. That's definitely how I had it last time. Okay. I have a cheat sheet and I still can't get that right. It is no wonder I was not a good student. So, in school. Here we go. All right, that's the toe. So what I just did, by the way, I lifted up the light control ring over here because I'm pretty sure that I had the accessory leg a little bit longer when I did the last shoot. So instead of taking time out of your busy schedule to modify it, I am just putting more light out by lifting up the light control ring, which is the beauty of how this thing works, is you don't have to adjust your lights nearly as much. All right. There we go. That's pretty. Well, that wraps it up. Thanks so much for hanging with me for this session. Please let me know what you think, or if you have any recommendation for any future videos. These videos are made for you, so let me know what you want to know about Halumin.